Well, good morning, everyone. It's Arthur P. from FMG, and today we have a guest, Daniel Marshall for Daniel Marshall's Coaching. Good morning, Daniel. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, AP. It's great to be here in your office and your beautiful office.
We have got a fantastic view here, and it's a lovely day today. Well, thanks for coming in, Daniel. I'd love to know a little bit about your backstory and how you founded Daniel Marshall Coaching.
Yeah, well, I guess, some context for the viewers as well. Like Daniel Marshall, I'm a financial coach, so I help people get financially fit. But before I went down this path, I was actually a mechanical engineer. So I grew up in rural South Australia, or regional South Australia, Whyalla.
And the Iron Triangle, right?
Exactly. So it's still in mining industry in that area. And I kind of fell into mechanical engineering after high school. But I had no idea what engineering was. I don't have a mechanical bone in my body, but I was always good with maths.
Yeah.
So my parents encouraged me to go down this path. But I always felt a gaping hole within me when it came to career. But I'm 34 now. So 10 years ago, almost to the day, my mum gave me a copy of The Barefoot Investor.
Wow.
And it was the first book that I ever read cover to cover. And this is when I first learnt about the power of compound interest and stock market investing. And for me, it was like light bulb went off. And I felt like I had hope. And it just ignited a passion and interest in personal finances and investing. And I just became obsessed about reading everything that I could on personal finance and stock market investing.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of was the starting point of what I call my money mastery journey. That's where it all began 10 years ago.
Wow. And how long from that point did you then start Daniel Marshall Coaching?
Yeah, so there was a bit of things going on there because I started investing as well, and I quite enjoyed that. I almost thought of becoming a traditional financial advisor.
Yeah.
So I actually studied a degree in corporate finance just in my spare time.
Yep.
But
just in your spare time, right?
I didn't. Yeah, exactly, in my spare time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite what I was looking for. But it's cool just to get the degree anyway and to learn some more of the finance language, which is quite a challenging language to learn. But a little bit after that, my love of reading personal finance books led me to reading personal development books. And I hired my first ever personal development coach, a fellow called Mike. And that really started to change my world. And as I started to grow myself, I noticed all my relationships improve as well. And he was the one who, I guess, planted the seed of one day becoming a coach and mentor myself.
Wow.
So fast forward a couple of years to the age when I was 28, I was still feeling a bit lost in my engineering career. And I was just on Google one day looking for coaching schools. And I found this one in Melbourne called the Coach Institute.
Right.
I sent an inquiry, I signed up, and in June 2019, flew to Melbourne and began my coaching journey to become a professional, I guess, life or business coach, whatever stream you want to take.
Fantastic.
And shortly after that, Daniel Marshall Coaching was born, about a month after that.
And I see that you do work a lot with millennials, making them financially fit.
Yeah.
And I love how you've come up with a little quadrant acronym on and the synergy with health and fitness.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like health and fitness was probably my first love.
Yeah, you look fit.
Yeah. Thank you. So, and what I've been training in the gym for 15 plus years, and I've been mastering money for the last 10 years. And what I've found is the principles of physical fitness also apply to financial fitness, which I'm sure you can appreciate with your martial arts background.
Yeah.
But what I kind of seen...
How we do one thing, we do all things, Daniel, eh?
That's what I've come to learn.
Yeah.
But when it comes to financial health, what I talk about, there's the cash flow side, so your income and your expenses, and then there's the net worth, so your assets and your liabilities.
Yeah.
Now, what I kind of recently connected all these dots together between physical and financial is, if we use the physical metaphor, it's your income represents your training.
Yep. Okay.
Your expenses represent your nutrition.
Nutrition with that. Yep. Okay.
So and the thing is, when it comes to physical fitness, it's 80% nutrition and 20% training.
Okay.
But most people have it backwards.
Yeah.
So they'll focus most of their energy on their training and neglect their nutrition, which means a lot of their efforts in the gym or their training are being converted into fat or not to what they want rather than muscle mass.
Go to waste, right?
Exactly. And the same is true for finances because, again, remember, the income represents your training. So most people will focus on how much money they make or how much revenue they make, but they neglect their nutrition, which is their expenses and their money management.
Yeah.
So what happens is they're converting a lot of their training and their nutrition into fat which is liabilities,
Yeah.
rather than muscle mass, which is assets. And the cool thing is, like when it comes to physical fitness, the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you burn even at rest. And when it comes to financial fitness, the more assets you have, the more money you make, even at rest.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of parallels.
I love how you've done that. Yeah. Because, you can earn a real lot of money, but if you're spending more than you're earning,
Yeah.
then you're always going to be behind the eight ball.
100%.
And we do find there's people that can earn not a real lot of money, but they've done better than people that do earn a lot of money, which is fascinating, right? Building assets.
I feel like I'm probably one of those people. Like I've actually never earned more than about $110,000 in a year.
Yeah.
So, and that was back when I was more in my engineering career.
Yeah.
But the thing was, I was always really strong in money management, that nutrition side.
Yeah.
And converting that into muscle mass, so the assets.
I love that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I've done that.
Yeah, that's it. So the beauty is, if you are earning great income, then you have much more resources to convert more muscle mass and build wealth faster, which is what you help people.
It's very good. You probably had a few late nights or early mornings thinking about that, Daniel. It's very good.
Lots of years of the dots connecting together.
I love it. Tell me a little bit about couples, because you're working with couples, right? And I remember going to Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's company.
Yes. Yeah.
And back in 2019 in Omaha, Nebraska. And one of the things that he said, like, first rule of money, right, is the person that you hook up with or marry, right, is a big indication of how you're going to do financially. Like, which I know that sounds odd, but over a lifetime, that being with that person or your money habits and so forth. And then he went, second rule is refer back to rule one, right?
Nice.
So tell us a little bit, what you're learning about coaching couples around money.
Yeah, I never intended to get down this path initially. It's just what I guess your ideal people they kind of find you. But I feel like the big thing with couples is each person in the couple have their own, money blueprints and their beliefs and their values around money, just because of how they were brought up and the environment they grew up in. So when they come to a relationship together, quite often there's two different, sets of beliefs and values.
Opposites attract, right?
Exactly. And so sometimes there can be conflict in the relationship around money. It can be a very triggering, conversation. Even like my wife and I, we can trigger each other at times when certain things in money come up. So I feel like one of the, the most valuable things I do when I work with a couple is, at the end of the day, they actually do want the same things.
Yeah.
It's just that their values and how they language it is slightly different. So it's about bringing couples together on the same page to work together towards a common mission.
Yeah.
Because I believe money is just a tool to help you live the life you want to live. So it's about identifying that mission that they both want.
Yeah.
And then bringing them together and then just teaching them, systems and structures to help them get there.
I like that, yeah. I think what I was trying to refer to with Warren Buffett was more about being on the same page. Because, traditionally we could end up with a saver and a spender. But as long as they're, looking in the same direction and having the same goals and dreams, being on the same page is just really important.
Yeah, I think that's actually can be a good dynamic, the saver and the spender, because they both have high quality attributes. It's just that they can be resourceful or unresourceful. Because sometimes people on the saving side can be too far on the saving side, which isn't good, because money doesn't like to be restricted, it likes to flow. Yeah. And that's where sometimes spenders, when they're in a good resourceful way, they can actually, receive money and spend money and let it flow. So if the dynamic is right between two, it can work very well, the spender and the saver.
Yeah, well, they do say, right, nothing happens on this planet until a sale's made, right? And it triggers like all this productivity and so forth.
That's true.
I love that, mate. Thank you. What about with business owners? Like, what are you finding, working with business owners? And the reason I mention that is that because we work with a lot of business owners, and I'm quite passionate about business and the story behind our, journey and what we did in writing my book, The Art of Building Wealth. But what do you find about business owners in this space?
Yeah, I love working with business owners myself. Most of the couples I work with are in business.
Yeah.
If it could be a business together or just one of them, but they're typically in business, and I love the mindset of a business owner as well.
Yeah.
But for a long time, because I came from an employee background, I initially felt like a bit of an imposter in business owners and entrepreneurs. I was like, cool, like I'm not good enough to be around these people. And I kind of had this belief that all business owners must be great at finances. But then I came to realize after going to a few different business events and the topic of money was brought up that there's a lot of business owners out there that are great at what they do, but not so great at the finance side of things. And again, it was like another light bulb for me. It's like, oh, far out, okay. Like there's a need here. There's business owners need help too.
I agree, and especially when there's a lot of cash coming through the door, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you, mate. That's excellent. I did have a question regarding around that, but I wanted to just about the podcast, your podcast show, Marshy's podcast show, right?
Money Mastery with Marshy. Bit of an alliteration.
How did you come up with the name for that?
I don't know. I feel like there's lots of Marshy's been my nickname from footy. Daniel was right. And Money Mastery is just something that I don't know. I just like that terminology.
Yeah.
So Money Mastery with Marshy, it's got a nice, kind of rolls off the tongue, nice alliteration. But I remember I wanted to have a podcast for years actually, like well before, back when I was an engineer still, because I'd listened to so many podcasts, read books, and I felt really inspired by the stories that I would hear. And I felt like, how cool would it be if I could have my own show and interview other great people and share the knowledge and wisdom that I've gained.
Yeah.
So it was born almost 2 years ago. We're almost up to episode 100.
Wow, that's excellent.
Sorry.
100, right?
Yeah. So 97 comes out as of this recording pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, I've got to ask then, like with in those nearly 100 episodes, has there been any 1, 2, or 3 standouts that have really, shook you to the core, or inspired you somewhat, or was there any? And I'm sure it's not just one, and it'd be a bit unfair, right? You like picking your favourite child, right?
It is a little bit. It is,
and 100's a lot. But is there anything that stands out, or a theme?
There's this probably the biggest theme, and I've interviewed a lot, like 50 plus people on there now, easy. Yeah. And one of the things I really like to reveal to people is there's not one size fits all recipe for everything. There's so many recipes and formulas to build wealth and to live a great life. And I like to highlight so many different people and all the different paths that they've taken. Yeah. Because sometimes people think it's a cookie cutter approach to build wealth and become successful. Yeah. But from all the people that I've interviewed, there's so many different paths you can take. And I feel like for me, I just like to extract that wisdom from people to share with other people to say, hey, like I believe that everyone has their own unique gifts and their own unique path to build wealth and live great lives.
Everyone's got a journey.
So unfortunately, I'm going to have to be diplomatic and not choose a favourite.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm not going to let you go just yet. Which episode has got the most hits?
Okay.
Yeah, listens.
Yeah. So the highest ranked one, I can't remember what number it was by a fella called Trevor Blake.
Right.
It's called 3 Simple Steps to Success, which is the title of his book. Now, he's a fella from England, lives in America now, serial entrepreneur. He's built multiple businesses and sold them for $100 million plus with 0 employees in all of them. Yeah. Physicist by background, and his book, 3 Simple Steps, it's a book that I've reread every year for the last few years, and it's had a big impact on me.
Well, tell us a little bit about it, Graham. We've got some time, so...
Yeah, well, I guess the 3 simple steps, simple stuff. The first one's all about, like, mind control and, controlling the stuff that comes in, your thoughts. Yeah. Again, your thoughts are creating your reality. Yeah. As I know you're aware of, we're cut from the same cloth in that space. Mm. So the first step's all about that. And the second steps, it's really about... There's a lot of meditation in there. It's about... cultivating a calm space, like a calm state of mind for great ideas to pop up. Mm. Because in the modern world, we're so busy, there's so much distractions and noise that we don't give ourselves enough time to let the wisdom and the ideas pop up.
Like the ambulance going to pass right now, right?
That's a perfect example. The universe just gave us a perfect example. So that's the second step. Yeah. And the third step's all about how do you actually turn those ideas into a winning business or a winning wealth, essentially. Yeah. So it's very simple, but the way he explains it, especially with his physicist background, is very interesting.
I must go and listen to that one, mate, because that does sound fascinating.
It's a good one.
Especially if you had so many views. Now, I'm going to ask you, looking back, is there one business decision that you do differently, and what did it teach you? And hindsight's always a wonderful thing, right? But
probably looking back, if I had my time again, rather than starting, because I was an engineer before, no business or entrepreneurial background, no sales or marketing background, and I started doing my coaching business initially, and there's so much to learn. I would probably have tried to find a mentor or someone else who was really doing what I wanted to do and shadow them or work for them in some capacity, just so I could get some insights into how to do it.
Yeah.
Because when you're starting business by yourself, there's so much to learn. So I feel like being a mentee to someone while you build up your mastery and your skill set would have been a valuable step to take.
I think that's a good segue to a question about coaching, right? In general, what's a myth that you'd like to bust about coaching? Because, there's a lot of coaches out there doing lots of different stuff, but I haven't yet met really high performance people not get there without the help of a coach or a mentor or of that nature.
Yeah. A lot of people probably think coaching is just for, people in sport.
Yeah.
Typically you think of coaches in sport.
Yeah.
But I feel like coaches are for everyone. And if you want to improve any part of your life, then you don't have to do it alone. It's valuable to work with someone who's got experience in that domain. So that's probably one of the big misconceptions, that only sport people need coaches. And maybe the other thing, I guess, in my space in finances, sometimes people think it's only people that are struggling with money who might need a coach. But to tell you the truth, all the people I work with are actually doing quite well in a lot of areas. They just want to be that little bit better and take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the other big misconceptions.
Oh, look, Deb and I were watching something on, was it Disney? And it was called In the Arena, about Serena Williams' journey. And, how being the, number one tennis player in the world and maybe the all-time great, and yet would still find time for coaches, right, to make her better.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, yeah. It says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So if you look at lots of successful people, they're all going to have multiple coaches for lots of different areas.
Yeah, exactly right.
So whatever you want to learn, there's someone doing it.
To do that.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions around, I've got one here. What's one piece of advice you give your clients that also you have to remind yourself of? I know this happens for me sometimes, but is that something for you that you're sharing with someone, but in saying, yeah, that's also, I'm talking to myself too, right?
I feel like that happens all the time. Like all the time, like I'm having a session with a client and like what I'm saying, it's like, I've got to remind myself this as well. Because it's funny how that happens. One that kind of springs to mind recently, a lot of times I find couples, again, going back to this mission piece, sometimes they can be a bit disconnected from that mission that they're working towards.
Yeah.
So again, it's like if you don't have that meaningful mission, then saving money, investing money can be quite hard. So sometimes you can lose sight of your mission and what you're doing because you're kind of not in the grind, but you're just in the do sometimes.
Yes.
So sometimes it's taking a step back to realize, like, why am I doing this? Why is this important? Like, what gets me out of bed?
Yeah.
Why did I start this journey? So that's one that can often come back.
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest.
Good. I think that's important because, in having done a lot of personal development, you get to a point when you see people up on stage or you read their book, and you know what? They're working on their stuff. It's part of their journey is that they're getting better at what they're doing. And one of the things to do that is to teach others, right? And so never think that those people know it all because they're just getting better too. So good on you.
Again,
I was going to ask you about most read or books that you've loved reading, mentors, resources that have shaped you the most, right?
Yeah.
And we have. That's a loaded question because we've got a common mentor there, haven't we? Or book that we refer to, but some of the ones that you come to mind, mate?
Yeah, probably some. Obviously, I mentioned Barefoot Investor was the one that really got me started.
Yeah.
When it comes to personal development, there was a book called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield.
Right.
Yes. I still refer to that often just for inspiration. That's a great resource.
Yeah.
Recent times, I guess that 3 Simple Steps has been quite impactful. 10x is easier than 2x by I can't remember the guy's name, but that's been a really impactful one recently. It's about in business. It's how to get 10x results.
Yeah.
But it's not about doing more. It's actually about doing less, but of higher quality. And it's about identifying like the area for you to harness in on, not the high leverage point for you to focus your attention on that, to let go of the other stuff, maybe delegate it, outsource it so you can focus on your area of genius.
Yeah.
So it's all about, doing less but achieving more. But it requires letting go of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
To do that, which is quite challenging. So that's what I reread every year as well.
They say sometimes don't look at the ants when the elephants are running past, right?
Yeah.
So, no, excellent, buddy.
And one more one actually I've got to mention, because I'm rereading at the moment, is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Waddell.
And do you know that's like over 100 years old? That
it is.
Yeah.
It's the classic. I reread that every year as well. Yeah. That and his other one, The Science of Being Great. I just feel like for inspiration, for timeless wisdom, you just open up a chapter in that and there's so much gold.
Mate, that is a fantastic book. In fact, the inside page of my book, The Art of Building Wealth, is that quote in there.
Is it?
From that, it's just such a... To think it's that old and it's still so pertinent today is just amazing. What about some quick fire ones, mate? Most played song or artist on your playlist right now?
Well,
because you listen to music, I'm sure you do, especially with your training and so forth.
To be honest, these days I'm mainly like so many podcasts.
All right.
So if we said most listen to podcasts at the moment, probably the fellow called Chris Williamson who does a lot of wisdom.
Yep.
Diary of CEO Stephen Bartlett. Of course, a bit of Money Master with Marshy.
Of course, yeah. I was going to ask, mate, one thing you've changed your mind about in the last 12 months?
Well, in the last 12 months, then that's a big juicy question, Arthur. What changed my mind on? There was probably a period of time, I went from being an employee then to business, and there was always a time where I was kind of like, the 9-to-5 employee, but like I was kind of against that up once I kind of got out of it.
Yeah.
But I've kind of changed my tune on that. It's like, I feel like that's actually a great path for a lot of people.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurship business isn't for everyone.
That's right.
And I feel like sometimes people can think they have to be in business or entrepreneurship, but I think being in a career that you love or a 9-to-5 is good. If you're doing something that's meaningful, that really lights you up, and that's a great path, and you can still build wealth that way. So before I was a bit too far one way, like 9-to-5, bashing that or career, it's like, no, like whatever adds value to you, whatever your meaning.
I think that's a good point, mate. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah,
it's a good question, because I feel like you've got to be, have strong beliefs but loosely held. So be willing to rip them off and to put new beliefs there.
I like that. Yeah. Okay, what about if you had to interview anybody, right, dead or alive, you got a top, I won't say one, I'm sure there's a few, right?
Yeah.
Top three.
Yeah, well, there's one that springs to mind, and this is Steve Harvey from America.
Yeah.
From America. Family Feud, the African-American guy with a big moustache. And that's because my sister and her husband worked directly for Steve Harvey and his family, which is a pretty wild story, which we can go into another time. But I'd love to interview him because he's such an interesting guy, and his rags to riches story is very impressive. And I was lucky enough to have a VIP ticket to Family Feud last year.
Really?
And to watch him for 3 hours just mastering his craft, like, it was just incredible to witness that. So I'd love to have a conversation with him sometime, because he's very wise and he's very funny.
I love that. Any others, man?
Why any others? I reckon Ned Brockman would be a good one to talk to. The young Aussie who ran across Australia. You heard of him?
Yes, I have. Yeah,
I think he's doing some great stuff, and I think he'd be fun to interview. And he's just a guy with a big mission, a big heart, doing some great things for some big causes. So I think we'd have a good conversation.
Okay, all right, very good, excellent. Now, before we wrap up, I was going to ask you what's a big goal that you're working on over the next 12 months, or what's important for you? Like, we've just closed off the last financial year, and into a new one. Is there anything top of mind that you'd like to get done in the next 12 months?
To be honest, I'm not so as much goal focused these days.
Yes,
but I'm just a believer in kind of setting the vision or kind of where I want to go, and just focus on the disciplines or habits that will kind of get me there. So for me, I really value like mastering my craft. So, I want to be a really solid coach. I want to be a really great public speaker and facilitator. I want to be a great, podcast host.
Yeah.
So it's just improving that craft so that I can, add more value to people and, help people get better results. So just honing that in and dialing it in.
I think you're pretty good at your speaking and presenting now. Where did you learn that so quickly?
Well, I would say it's quickly. There's been a lot of reps behind the scenes to do that, but one of my greatest mentors, a fellow called Lloyd, he's a sensational public speaker and facilitator. And he told me the best ever personal development he ever did was he joined Toastmasters with his wife for 2 years.
Right.
And now he's spoken on stages in front of like 7,000 plus people.
Wow.
So he kind of had the blueprint. So I said, all right, I'm going to go join Toastmasters. So when I moved to Adelaide, I did that. I joined 2 clubs, and I went every single week.
Weekly?
Yeah, they meet fortnightly, but I joined 2 clubs that meet at the same place.
Weekly, right.
If I wanted that rhythm, I wanted to get more reps in.
Yeah.
So I would do that every single week, and I'd put the reps in. So I've been doing it for 3 years, and I still do it to this day.
Really? When do they meet? Is it a morning, evening?
Yeah, mine's a Wednesday evening in the city, Gore Place. But they've got chapters all over. All over Adelaide and all over the world, because it's an international organisation. But Toastmasters is one of the best places for improving your public speaking skills, your communication, your leadership.
Yeah.
And it's such a multicultural, diverse group, especially in the city.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that come there, English is their second language. They've come from other countries to come to Australia, and you get to hear their stories. And sometimes it just puts into perspective, if you think you've got problems or you've had challenges, these people, English is the second language, they're learning public speaking, and they've come from another country. So it's just a humbling experience.
That's cool. I've never been to a Toastmasters, and probably never too late too, right? I'm sure you get involved.
Never
later,
too late.
yeah.
100%.
We're part of a networking group, right, too? So how have you found joining a networking group, which is different to Toastmasters, obviously, right? But you do get some time to work on your craft of speaking and presenting.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I feel like Toastmasters and networking group, they're kind of a similar thing and just for different focus. Yeah. So I feel like the networking group is it's all about building referral relationships. Yeah. And so it's a similar thing, but because I did Toastmasters for a couple of years before joining networking, like the networking group, I had built up the confidence to be able to stand in front of a room and speak confidently.
Yeah. You do that real. Yeah.
But when I first came to Adelaide, I was actually tossing up between Toastmasters or the networking group initially, and I chose Toastmasters because I really wanted to learn that skill first. So when I got to this stage, I felt really confident to be able to step into it. But they're both hugely valuable.
We're talking about business there, networking international up here, which is fantastic. Well, mate, how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, probably the best way is probably the podcast. There's almost 100 episodes up there, and there's solo episodes of me. There's people interviewing you. Hopefully I'll get to interview you on there sometime, Arthur. I'd love to.
Soon, yes.
So that's probably the best way, just to get to know me and my style and what I'm about. I also do a newsletter, which I put out every week. I've done that for 3 years, every Friday.
I do love your newsletter.
Yeah, thank you. So that's danielmarshall.com.au. People can join there.
Yeah.
And if not, probably Instagram, maybe at Daniel G. Marshall, or can find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. I just think as we run a financial advice practice, and there's a space for that, financial coaching, financial fitness, that could be done a lot more efficiently. So that's why I wanted to get you on today, mate, and have a chat about that and add some value there. So I hope you've enjoyed today. Is there anything you'd like? Did we miss anything that you'd like to chat about?
I feel like we've covered a fair bit of ground here today, but I feel like the cool thing here is, and this is going back to Science of Getting Rich.
Yeah.
In there, he talks about not having the competitive mindset, but having the collaborative mindset. And I feel like that's why we get along well, Arthur, because we both have the collaborative mindset. We're both cut from the same cloth. We both fell in personal development. So it's great that, because I guess maybe some advisors or planners might see a financial coach as competition potentially.
Yeah.
But we're actually solving a different problem, and we can actually work together quite well. Because again, as an advisor, you don't always have the time to get into the nitty-gritty details like I might when it more comes to cash flow and that side of things. So I feel like it's just great that we're actually here having this conversation and collaborating together.
Look, and I think, as you get older and hopefully a little bit wiser, you learn, having that abundance mindset's better. And there's, really, if you're really good at what you do, you don't really have competition. And I just feel that you add a lot to our client base, and I'm sure we'll do in the future. And no, it's been lovely, mate.
Let's do an event sometime, I reckon.
We will do an event sometime soon. Mate, it's been a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming today. Thanks, guys.